straight off the bat, I love your impersonation of a bell there, Max. So no, that was whatsoever. But
I'm hoping at one point
as a triangle is what you're thinking of.
when I grow up, I would like to be astronaut.
Fam.
Ham roll, fam. Ham roll.
Avocado blood. What's the point, fam?
I'm so fancy. I already know. Russia, welcome to Blackmore.
Perfect.
I don't know why you.
I love this game.
Evening, Chelsea fans. Welcome back to another weekend of Chelsea Chat with me, Moose, and JB. And this week we're joined by a regrettable guest on the show, in Matt, the Arsenal fan. After the disappointment of the weekend, we've obviously got biased views of an Arsenal fan talking around Anthony Taylor's Arsenal. And then we're going to go through, obviously, the game itself, how Anthony Taylor ruined that for everyone involved. And then we'll go through some of the transfer tracker and into sort of looking forward to Bayern Munich friendly and a bit more. So don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell notification. And don't forget to comment below. We'd like to hear your thoughts and dreams within the comment section. So welcome, Matt. Welcome to the Chelsea Chat podcast. How's it feel joining a Chelsea fan podcast for the fans, by the fans?
Disgusting, to be honest with you. I regret agreeing to come on here, but I'm glad I'm here. It's an honour. Appreciate it.
Is this where you thought you'd be when you sort of set out as an Arsenal fan all those years ago?
I want it noted that I agreed to come on here when everyone thought we were definitely going to get absolutely stuffed. So the fact that I'm here smiling is definitely not what I thought it was going to be. But no, yeah, I can't wait to get into it, talk about the game. It's going to be interesting as the biased Arsenal fan, obviously.
I know. So if we get started with the game, it was an interesting one because I think everyone probably would have agreed with you there that Arsenal probably were the underdogs, even though they had much more riding on the game than Chelsea did. What were your thoughts going into the game and then probably starting to watch it?
So the day before the game, I was just messaging everybody saying, I just hope we don't get embarrassed. Like, I just get through with maybe only a 2-0, 3-1 defeat. When I saw your predictions, I thought, probably take that. Then the morning of the cup final, the naive optimism kicks in and you're thinking, we could do this. We could probably do this based on nothing at all, really. And then 5 minutes in, I thought this is going to be the longest 90 minutes of my life. We not only just the 5 minutes in, I think for the first 15 minutes, you were just cutting us open down the middle for fun. I mean, straight from Jorginho through to Pulisic was just embarrassing. There's no one. It's like we knew you were going to try and go out wide, and you just thought there's a massive gaping gap between Xhaka and Ceballos, and played it through every time, and we were cut open.
It was really interesting because before the drinks break, there's that sort of level of, I don't know, where we as Chelsea fans, you just felt as much as sort of it was a good run. You never trust the first 20 minutes of a game as a Chelsea fan. We could have been 5-0 up and I still wouldn't have trusted we'd won that game. And then it all turned and there were a number of different decisions and things that happened throughout the game. But sort of, to your point there, first 20 minutes were a joy to watch as a Chelsea fan. Pulisic, I mean, going forward, absolutely frightening. I think he's going to be one of our mainstays in the squad next season and I'm really going to challenge. But yeah, it did go a bit downhill from there. And you probably got a differing view of that.
Yeah. Well, the drinks break, we scored 2 minutes after drinks break, right? That's the interesting turning point. And to be honest, it's not, you never ever picked up on the long ball to Aubameyang. It was just, we David Luiz and Ceballos were just playing those over and over again, and he kept getting through, and then obviously he gets brought down. I thought it was a red, but then it turns out you can't get, if it's a penalty, you can't get a red card. So I was screaming red card for absolutely ages, and I don't think because it's a double jeopardy thing, so you don't get it. Aubameyang scores it. Obviously, we went nuts. even then, I'm thinking we've restored some pride, but we hadn't created. I think we had a header and then maybe a couple of runs, but we hadn't done anything since then. And then, we scored the penalty. I'm thinking we can just get to half time 1-1, inevitable 2-1. Giroud header would be okay to swallow. I thought you just sat back for the rest of that half, really. I don't think you did much for the rest of that.
I think
and it's that way round. I thought we played all right, but you let us play. That's the main thing.
I think it's the big challenge we had. I mean, if we look at the starting 11 from a Chelsea standpoint, I was firstly a bit disappointed not to see Kante in there, because I think we would have been a completely different game if he'd been in there. We had to play Jorginho, and a back five to go and manage that. And actually, we probably would have been better off with a back four if we'd had Kante sitting just in front of those. And equally, he would have carried a lot of those balls and managed the run of Aubameyang. So that was a bit of a frustration, even though before the game, Kante was being picked as being fit, which would have sort of made it a massive sort of difference there, because it went back to sort of the areas where we lapsed were our back five again. Losing Dave early on was an absolute killer, because he's the only person who's got a mature head in our back five. He gave away the penalty. It was a debatable. I'll say debatable. Yeah, debatable penalty.
You can debate if you want amongst yourselves, but it's pretty penalty that.
I mean, it was probably the one sort of decision that Anthony Taylor made that I might allow him to have, but most of the others I
You're
wasn't.
setting up the rest of the chat here, aren't you? I can see where this is going.
I have no idea what you're talking about. If you want to talk around Arsenal fan Anthony Taylor, we're happy to talk around that on this podcast.
I wouldn't even say Arsenal fan. I think it's just more anti-Chelsea from that man, to be honest with you. I mean, I've seen Sid's, right, and I didn't even realise this before. But firstly, he was the referee in the cup final a couple of years back when we played Arsenal, and you had the Sanchez handball and you had the Moses sending off, etc. Which a one-off game is not a problem. Then we came to this season, and almost every big bad decision that happened against Chelsea that you think of was from him. So you had the Maguire boot into Batshuayi. That was Anthony Taylor. Watford's, when Deo Lefeu got a penalty, that was Anthony Taylor. When we played Tottenham, and their goalkeeper came out and booted Alonso in the chest, he originally gave that as a foul to Tottenham, and then it was only VAR then came back and changed the decision. And he also missed the Son boot up into Rudiger's chest. And then obviously you've got the final yesterday where he made a number of bad decisions. So it's kind of difficult to swallow when it's all the same referee making all of the decisions against us this season. I think that's probably most of the bad decisions that we've had against us, because we've not been too bad off this year, really, with decisions. We've had a few bad ones, but they've all pretty much come from him. And that's when it's like, it just doesn't seem right. It doesn't sit right with me.
That Sanchez one was, I remember that being really, like, I thought it was off. I thought it was no goal for two reasons. One, the handball, but then you go, okay, maybe it's not handball, maybe it was two. I mean, by these days, it would be disallowed because it's any contact, right? But back then, it's like it's intentional, whatever. And then the ball lands, and I remember him being right next to Aaron Ramsey, who was definitely offside, and they deemed him not active, even though I'm pretty sure Sanchez had to like brush him out of the way to get to the ball. And I remember thinking at the time, we've got away with that. So it's interesting. It's the same guy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I think the United one, because I think on that day we also had like a couple of goals disallowed. So obviously rightly disallowed because VAR was used, but it was that frustration. And then when Maguire should have got sent off, he didn't, and then he scored the winner. That was like even more infuriating. So the two games where I felt the most hard done by this season in terms of decisions have both been him, and there's a number of other occasions where he's had those bad decisions against us. So it's. I probably wouldn't say, it's something specifically against Chelsea in reality. I think, and this kind of also leads into just talking about VAR in general. I think it's just the poor quality of officiating we've got in this country. I think the officials are terrible as an overall collective, and that's why VAR has failed. It's because it's being run by the same officials who are making the poor decisions. and even looking at it again on a camera, they still can't get it right, and that just shows you how bad the referees are in this country.
I don't understand how. I think VAR could be one of the most entertaining things in football if it was done right. I have no idea how they've managed to make it such a boring, scary, inaccurate
mood killer.
To be honest, it probably is entertaining if you're a United fan. Just because everything seems to go their way. I think the stats this week are United have been the top club that have benefited from VAR, and equally, the top sort of club that's had decisions go their way in that space. And that's the thing, is that was the problem when you had referee decisions in game anyway, that United were getting those decisions. Now they're just getting those decisions and they pointed them out on the screen. So that's the issue I've got. But I mean, I'll give the Azpilicueta penalty because there was a foul there. It did start outside the box. He's obviously given advantage and it's continued into the box and has given the penalty for that. So I'll give him that decision. He has made a number of monumental issues throughout the game, though, that have, I think, killed the game off. So if we start with those there, so the contentious points for the Martinez outside of the area catch, which I know that you're going to challenge us on there, Matt, because from the split second you've taken your screenshot, he's not outside the area. From the screenshot myself and Jamie have seen, he definitely is.
I think this is the thing. When I watched it live, we were certain it was outside the box. There was not a doubt in my mind. If he had not gone to VAR and sent him off, I'd have thought fair enough, because it just looked terrible. Then the weird thing, I don't know if what channel you're watching. I was watching it on BBC. No replay.
They didn't even show it, did they? Yeah.
No replay, and
that's that feels a little bit dodgy as well. The fact that even the BBC, because they were like, oh yeah, he definitely looked outside the box.
Yeah.
And then they didn't even discuss it again. Like it never even happened. And I was like, you're not even going to talk about that again. You're not going to show it. Like, it's quite a contentious thing to look at. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the game, I mean, I turned it off straight away after full time. But at the end of the game, it seems that they've shown a replay of it later with what looked like two blue lines coming across. Like,
yeah, I thought it was weird. I thought it was really weird. I mean, the fact that Danny Murphy originally goes, he's out. I remember hearing him saying he's out, and he's clearly watching some replay. And I was thinking, oh, here we go. And then I'm Googling if it's a red card. I had no idea if it's a red card, if he's the last man. It is. And then when they showed the video at the end of the game, in real time, it doesn't look like he's handled it. What it looks like is he's when they go to catch the ball, like you would in cricket, like you've just kind of guided it and then made contact in the box, which is on the line. But the still, if you take it, and this is my problem with VAR in general, particularly with offsides, if you take the still 1,000th of a frame earlier, he's holding it. If you take the still 1,000th frame later, he's not holding it. And then you're into like silly territory in my mind. And I think even in that decision, if they'd said he's outside the box, a human being, I think, would have watched that and gone, he's outside the box. And I think, how accurate do you need stuff like that to be is the real thing. Because, like I say, I think having watched the video now, I don't think it is. But then, to your point, if you can show a screenshot that looks like he's holding it, it's like, how do you know the hands made contact? Because it looks like it is. That's the thing.
That's probably where they go into the whole clear and obvious thing. I mean, offsides is an offside. It's either offside or it's not, which is what they kind of argue when they say about these armpit offsides and these millimeters and stuff. But if they took that to VAR and had a look at it, and the referee said no, he's not handed outside the box, then they look at it and they say we're not sure. So it's not a clear and obvious mistake. So therefore, we stick to the ref's decision. And I don't know if they even actually checked it because they didn't say anything on the commentary. But if they did, that's probably what's happened. They've looked at it and said we can't be 100% certain if he's handled it or not inside or outside the box. So we're not going to give it.
Isn't that frustrating though? Because there's been so many other times where they've overturned things and you're watching it, and at home you're like, you've watched it 5 times, you're thinking, I'm not even sure, and they've changed their minds. So I think you just have the ref go to the screen, which by the way only happened once in Arsenal games. once.
I think it happened like once or twice throughout the whole Premier League season completely. It hardly got used, which was just, yeah. If the VAR guys can't decide, then it's down to the ref. Let him have a second look and make his own decision. But I mean, that wouldn't have helped us anyway, because Anthony Taylor was never going to give us anything, was he? So it would have made a blind bit of difference. Even in the Kovacic second yellow, he would have gone, oh, straight red. Not even a second yellow. He would have given him a straight red.
That's the next one. Right.
Yeah, let's move on to that point, because I mean, if we kick off, obviously Kovacic earlier in the game, definite foul, definite yellow card. No sort of doubt.
The first one. First one's definitely yellow.
Definite foul. Lashed out, gave a yellow card. I'll put my hands up there. And bear in mind, Kovacic has been our best player by far this season. So he has been our standout performance of this campaign. And so it's been a really important part of the way we play. And then the decision, I don't quite get how they've come to the decision of a second yellow. And there was no even second review. You just go straight for the second yellow.
They can't. VAR doesn't get involved with yellow cards, and it's just a normal foul in the middle of the pitch. So it's not a penalty decision. It's not a goal-threatening decision. So, and it's not a red card decision either. In terms of a straight red, it's only a straight red they'll look at. They don't look at second yellows, which again feels a little bit harsh for everyone, not just us, but for everyone. You know, if someone's getting sent off, that's a big factor, and if that's the wrong decision and they've got the use of these cameras, then use it. You know,
and I don't understand why you can't just have people watching the game in real time and those people just say that's a bit dodgy, and that's when you do it at home. You could do it with a bunch of fans. Basically, people just go, hang on a minute, and that hang on a minute takes 10 seconds to watch it again.
Yeah.
I also disagree with watching it in slow motion. I don't think slow motion for tackles, slow motion for offsides and stuff helps, but watching a tackle in slow motion does not capture the tackle, because it either looks really bad or it takes away the impact, because if you're running at speed and you get nudged, it doesn't look like it. All that being said, it was definitely not a second yellow, and I have no idea. Even at the time, I didn't shout for a second yellow. And I wanted him sent off for a tackle he did just before that, because he got booked first half, I think, and then start of the second half he tackles someone outside the edge of the box, and I was like, "Oh, that's two now." And then the third one, which we got sent off for, I thought, "Okay, it's just a trip, or it's just whatever." Then he booked someone, and I thought he booked us for trying to get him sent off.
Yeah, he did, and then he came back and gave Kovacic the yellow. Yeah, he did. He booked someone in your team for trying to get him sent off, and then it went back and booked Kovacic for the second.
Oh, it's Biles. He booked Biles. This geezer.
The worst thing. The worst thing is, I'm just rewatching it whilst we're going on here, and he doesn't even touch the player. That is the big thing. He's even if it's been the ball, he touches the ball and the player goes down. And don't get me wrong, player probably that comes into his decision making, but he goes in, and I think the big thing for me is he's such an influential player, and equally he's such a defensive influential player. So you've got Jorginho, who is as good defensively. I'm trying to think of a good analogy here, but he's just absolute dross. Like he doesn't match up to a Kante or Kovacic. So leaving him on his own in that midfield just gave us nothing. We had nothing going forward after that, and we had nothing to sort of fend off Arsenal. And to your point, Jamie, I think it was such a big decision during the game that just didn't help. Sort of, there was no way we were going to work our way back into it after that.
Yes, I think it was a case. It wasn't really the big decisions that changed. I mean, that one obviously did. The others, in terms of like the handball, it was right at the end of the game. So either way, it still would have taken a lot for us to get back into it. They would have just subbed on another keeper and we would have carried on. But I think the problem I had was the little niggly kind of fouls here and there. Every time I felt like we were starting to get some momentum, an Arsenal player would make a foul, not given, or Chelsea would win back possession in a good area, he gives it as a foul, whether it is or not. It was just always the same way. It was never kind of we got some, they got some. It was, I think, in the first half, Arsenal got given 9 fouls in their favour, and we got 0. in the first 45 minutes of that game. And that just kind of says it all to me. And I just want to put a caveat in there that, I do think Arsenal deserved to win in terms of performance of the two teams. I think Arsenal were a better team on the day. So this is not taking away anything from Arsenal's performance. It's just I don't think we got a fair crack at winning despite not being the better team on the day, which sometimes can happen. I don't think we got a fair chance at doing that because of the referee's poor performance. I'm gonna say that.
And the thing is, there are other factors in the game that I'm not going to complain about just because they're part of the game itself. But sort of having Pulisic and Dave go off injured were big impacts on our game. But that is just sort of the fact of the matter of playing the game of football. You potentially lose players as part of that. I think it's when you feel that misjustice as a player or a fan, and you're watching it and you're sort of going, there's a reason why I feel like we haven't had a chance in this game is the big piece here. To your point, I thought Arsenal played, after that first drinks break, played Chelsea a lot better. They looked at the weaknesses we had in our defence, and we've identified that on the podcast a number of times.
The red card comes like 75 minutes, 75 minutes. And I think for the first 20 minutes of the second half, nothing happened. I don't think there's a highlight, right? Neither team did anything. And I think that is because Pulisic got injured. Because he was
it kind of killed. It kind of deflated the game a bit, didn't it? After that injury, like straight away, there was no quick start from either side. It was kind of like ages getting the injury sorted out, and then everyone was just a bit slow afterwards. I think on both sides.
Well, I think we came out thinking, don't concede. Get to 70 minutes, don't concede. And then Pulisic getting injured meant you didn't really have a threat. And also Giroud, I was surprised Giroud started. I thought, given how the City game went for us, I'd have expected Tammy Abraham to start or something, completely run at us, grind us down, and then when it gets to the later game where if you need a goal and you're pumping the ball into the box, City would have beaten us if they had Giroud, 100%, because they had Gabriel Jesus in the middle, and he can't win a ball against David Luiz or Holding or anyone. So I was like, you had no real threat after that, and then we obviously get the free ball and Aubameyang scores, and then we can just sit back again, which is something we've not been able to do for 15 years, sit back and soak up pressure. And we can barely do it now.
We should congratulate Matt on his team's FA Cup. We, despite all the complaints and the moaning about the referee, I do think, as I said before, it was a deserved victory. So we do have to give you a congratulations on that one.
I mean, I also like to sort of comment on the analogy that Aubameyang did with the cup itself in dropping it before he got to the squad. But yeah, full credit to you if you're willing. Ignore that comment. We'll take that off the record.
You made it seem like I've got a clause in a contract for the podcast. I'm only coming on if you give me some credit.
They told me they were going to say thank you. They were going to congratulate me on winning this.
Yeah, it was me. It was all Matt O'Brien. No. I thought you were unlucky. I thought we probably edged it on the day, but to lose two key players and then have a guy sent off that shouldn't have been sent off is unbelievable. So it's could have been
a cheating ref,
and a cheating ref as well. Yeah,
and an Arsenal fan just said that, so you can take that as word.
We got the trophy. I don't care what happened. I mean, what happened? We're throwing it away. That's how much we care once we won it.
So, come to the conclusion of another great weekend with Chelsea Chat. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification and comment below on any topic you like, including Bulldogs. Thank you very much, Matt, for joining. Appreciate your insight and your guidance on the Chelsea Chat podcast and taking some nice criticism from myself and JB. All I can leave to say is you stay classy, Chelsea fans.